Okay, sorry for the trouble we had with this call from England. Now we have Christoph from Still Alive Studio. Their project is Son of Noah, and the project is already fully funded. But I thought it's interesting to hear about a project that is fully funded. And there are quite a few people out there who never heard of it. And I followed the project for quite a while, and the funding phase was really interesting. And you made it in the last minute. I learned about your project when Julian posted in a gaming group on LinkedIn whether someone had an idea how to push the funding better. And you wanted $150,000, and you ended up getting 151,000. That was close. Let's have a look. We have a statistics chart here from ClickTrack. So maybe you can bring that up. So we can see that almost $27,000 came in at the end, and then on the last day it was 6,500 who just pushed you over the goal, over the finish line. That's interesting for guests we have later on, like H-Hours and Frozen, who may need such a sprint at the end. How did you guys feel as project owners when you had 3 days left and about 27% still missing, Christoph?
Oh my God, it was super intense. We monitored, of course, we knew a little bit, we had a little bit of data. We looked at other projects that had exactly that sprint in the end. So we hoped to still being able to make it. Nevertheless, it was a close call. 27% is not it's not very easy to do, but yeah, we looked already at solutions. You know, what else could we do in the last 2 days? Could we what could we set in motion? Could we contact more people? Could we get some kind of more press coverage or something? So it was very, very intense time, and we didn't quite know if we were really going to make it.
Yeah, there's obviously nothing safe in that business. Could you still sleep?
Well, yeah, more or less. I mean, I read a lot of Kickstarter postmortems, and many of them said that it will be, you know, doing Kickstarter all day long, all night long. Kickstarter is all you can think of for the month you are on Kickstarter. I thought, yeah, sure. I mean, they probably exaggerate. It's you will just do your work day and be on Kickstarter and do all you can, and it'll be okay. But no, they were pretty much right. So in at night, I just lied in bed and thought of stuff to do. What else could we do? Who could we contact? Basically,
Yeah.
that's that.
We experience the same thing. It's a 24-hour job. I mean, we're in a better position, but we're not asking the same amount of money, so maybe it's easier anyway. So what do you think pushed you across the finish line? Did some extra press coverage help you, or did you release something special?
Um, I think, especially for the other projects like yours and the other people we heard today, this is probably a very interesting question. What did we do? Is there a magic ingredient that we put in there? I think the question really also is why did we only have this huge boost in the end? Because I mean, other projects have this steady growth, etc. But we didn't really make that well during the campaign. It was really very, very flat, the growth. We had some press coverage and then we had some spikes, that's true. But nevertheless, it was quite hard getting that. So we had a lot of press in the beginning. But as you saw on the Kickstarter chart, it died off pretty quickly. So the pledges, etc. We also got we got from the press that they were very hesitant to feature Kickstarter projects because there were just so many of them. So press was very, very hard to approach. And when they did it, yeah, they had an article up or two. So, and then it kind of died off. So what else to do? We also had reached out to Twitter rock stars. So we asked famous people to talk and tweet about our project. We got like Cliff Blazinski from Epic Games,
Yeah,
Jess
I've
Shell,
seen that, yeah.
Brian Fargo, Min Lei, the creator of Counter-Strike, Guido Henkel, producer of Planescape Torment. So all these great, cool people gave us a huge moral boost, and they all said, looks like a cool game, help the project, it looks really cool. But I think we're still analyzing the data, but I think the impact was not so big because Twitter just streams by, it flows away, and people read it, but they don't necessarily act on it. So it was very nice as a moral boost, but I don't think that it was the game changer.
Yeah, I think what Twitter helps you with is that people have read your name before, and when the game's released, they might remember, and then they spend time with the demo and probably buy it then.
Exactly, or just to keep a constant stream of keeping you in talks of people, so that you constantly get up their mind and, oh yeah, that was the Still Alive Studios game. Oh yeah, maybe I'll check it out, and so maybe you can convince one or two backers.
Right.
An interesting thing happened when we released this Epoch mind controlling thing, because this was a great story for the press. This is probably the most viewed video on our YouTube channel. It got
let's get to that later and look at the game first. I have that on my list. I want to talk about that because it's really interesting.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to say that this was a huge press thing, but it didn't really give us many backers as well. So I think the most important thing that we did was reach out to YouTubers in the end. So we compiled lists of YouTubers, and we found helpful people that wanted to push our project, and we had YouTubers who had 160,000 subscribers, and I think this is what pushed it over the edge in the end.
That's my impression too. People don't want to read anymore, so a video is much better. But only 40 seconds count, because then people go on to something else.
Exactly. This is, by the way, also something that the CEO from Larian Studios, Sven Vinke, said, that they reached out to the press, but their campaign, I mean, and they're a pretty known studio, but their campaign only started when they really went to YouTubers and played their game with them. So.
Okay. Yeah. Happy end in the end. So let's take a look at the game, because I guess there's quite a few people watching who have never seen it. You sent us a short video, and I think we should play that now.
Okay.
So I guess we've seen some of those special effects, and obviously on your Kickstarter page there's still more video to see. And so you need to tell us what's so special about Son of Noir. I mean, I know, but...
So I think the specialty from Son of Noir is that it combines maybe known game elements like magic and magic combinations, like you know from Magica. It combines telekinesis, like in Star Wars games, and terraforming that you've seen in games like From Dust, Populous, etc. But it makes it, it puts it together in a story-driven game. So it's an action adventure. It's an adventure with a story. You go from chapter to chapter, and you have to solve respective missions in those chapters to progress in the story. So mankind is at the brink of extinction. That might not be very special, but the way you interact with the world and with the powers, that's what I think is special. So you have fights, and you can use telekinesis to pick up an object with your power of your mind and throw it at an enemy. You
Yeah,
can
that's what
also
we've seen in the video.
exactly. You can also tear out rocks, so you can very much interact with the environment. But you can also use these powers to solve puzzles, which is the other part of the game. So you'll explore temples, etc. Think Indiana Jones a little bit with traps, temple secrets to explore, and you will use the exact same powers to solve those puzzles. For example, it is a physics-driven game. So when you have a fire spell loaded and you cast it onto the sand, you get glass balls. You can use those glass balls as a weapon and throw it at enemies, or you can divert and break light for a mechanism, for example. So light triggers some mechanism that opens a door, and you need to have these glass balls to divert the light in a way that it triggers this mechanism. So this is all very interweaved together, and all the combination of the powers, so you progress through the story, I think, is what makes Son of Nor really special.
Okay, so obviously that's all on your project page, and everybody wants to know what happened after the Kickstarter campaign. Where are you now in terms of development? You sent us a folder full of pictures that I would like to take a look at now, and you can comment what we can see. No, that's Nelly again.
Well,
Nice
that's also a very great project. So
it's a great project. Bastian likes them, I guess.
Ah, there it is. So this was only 6 months ago, 6 months before the Kickstarter, and the next picture shows how far we've come since that. So we really improved the graphics quite a bit.
Much more detail.
Exactly. And after Kickstarter, of course, we had some aftermath to do. Setting up forums, etc. But we also continued. We have made concepts for female players because we will have male and female players. That was a concept, and here you see the finished 3D model, which we already implemented with all the animations into the game. Then we are working on a scorpion enemy, which you see the concept of here. And the first time we imported it, it looked like this. So there was something very strange happening. And this is always the very funny part. If you import something and it looks very strange, we take that always for our dev diaries because it makes them fun. And so this is the scorpion that you see at the moment in the game. It has no textures yet, but this is something we work on. So player models, we have some props like chests and flags and other stuff, and the scorpion model that we are animating right now. So it has already a sting attack, a claw attack, and a cycle, a move cycle animation.
Okay. Yeah, those are impressive, even though it's still work in progress. So you kind of mentioned it. Let's move on to the special equipment. So you announced Oculus Rift support. That's something everyone is talking about at the moment. You will support it in your game, and it makes complete sense. I don't know whether everyone is familiar with it, so I pulled out a couple of images that we can look at what the equipment looks like. That's when you disassemble it. And probably not recommended. So what does it do in the game?
So in the game, you'll be able to put on this helmet glasses. The nice thing is it's like the virtual reality helmets from back in the day. This is really a very, very modern variation of it with all the new latest technology, affordable for consumers, and you will be able to put it on and really be immersed in the world. So you will see the world through the player's character's eyes, and you can move your head, and the game viewport moves with it so that you really feel as if you were in the game.
Yeah, so it's 3D goggles, so it projects two different images on both eyes. But
exactly.
Now
and you have 3D, of course.
Yeah, 3D. So the interesting bit is now the emotive epoch. And I'm quoting from your page, support for emotive epoch, a brain-computer interface capable of translating EEG signals, brain activity, into spells and magic actions. I mean, the brain is magic anyway. but in Son of Noah. So you use your thoughts to perform telekinesis, sounds natural, terraforming, that's me in the garden, and spells. So what the hell is it that you look like in a doctor's office, preparing for your brain surgery when you have that thing on? Bring on the pictures, please, Bastian, then we can all share it.
Exactly.
It looks a bit, I don't know whether I want to wear something like that. It looks dangerous.
Well, it isn't as invasive as back in the day when you saw people with shaved heads and nets, etc. So you can really put this on like glasses just from the other side. Looks a little bit like an inverse Geordie LaForge. So this thing just measures brain activity. So when you think of something, your brain makes a specific pattern of activity.
She looks pretty happy with it.
Yeah. So the activity of every person is different, but this needs to be trained. So in the game, we think of you walk up to something in the tutorial, for example, and then the game asks you to really concentrate on lifting something up. And we will measure during that time, so when we integrate this Epoch device, we will measure how your specific brain pattern looks like during that time. You can think of ice cream if you want. You can think of lifting that stone. It doesn't matter. It just recognizes this pattern. And then you move on, etc. And then you can train really to focus on that thought. And then this gets translated into an action like lifting a stone, releasing a spell, etc. So there's nothing magic about it. It doesn't really read your thoughts, but it's a very interesting technology in addition to mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, it's good enough that Skype reads our thoughts these days.
Yeah. Or follows links for that matter.
I think that was brilliant because you also introduced some new technology, at least to me. I think a lot of people may not have heard about this Epoch thing before. Thanks for your support for the show. I know it was a bit of a challenge for you to find the time because everybody's away today.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe we can have a short chat next show as well. Sure. And you can give us an update again, and you will have a bit more notice then. Thank you very much, Christoph.
No problem. Thank you very much, Volker.
We'll move on to the next project, and that's Days of Dawn.